shall we start? All right, pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome. September 1st. Here we are. Here we are. And yesterday we opened a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Perry, the city of Perry. It was well attended, so we're making progress. All right. Roll call, Kelly.
Mark Foltz?
Yes.
Mark Frazier?
Yes.
Francis Griffith?
Here.
Kelly Schmidt, yes. Ray Carmel?
Here. Okay, the agenda as typed, written.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then we have an ambulance service public hearing. What time is it, Troy?
It is 7:01.
7:01 p.m., September 1st, 2021. And I guess what we'll do is, it's a public hearing, we'll just open it.
Well, I'll give a little background first. So this hearing is to make the adjustment to the annual ambulance assessment on there. The current assessment was put on the ballot back in 2014 in the August primary, and it was approved by the voters. We had public hearings on September 3rd and October 1st, 2014, and per the statute, if there is a change of greater than 10% in 1 year, we have to hold the public hearing for that. So the rate for the per household rate, which is per unit, so a unit is defined as a single family house, a apartment unit, a unit in a duplex, a mobile home, etc. So 4-unit apartment pays 4 of them. That is a flat rate, and that rate has not changed since the early 2000s. Since CISA's been, it's been the same rate, and I think it was that rate the last year of PMSA, so we'd be back to 2003, 2004. So this is to adjust that amount, which I believe every other municipality in CISA's district, which is most of the southern part of the county, has already done this, or we're the last one to do it. And I don't know, Mark, if you can just give a quick little background, you're the rep on the board. So.
Yeah, we are the last township to get it done. Everybody else has got it done. Some of the costs of doing businesses, these are predominantly ambulance costs. Payroll every 2 weeks is about $31,000. The MERS, which is the retirement, which there again the full-time people are mostly ambulance, so that's about $11,000, $12,000 a month. Let me see. Then we have there's different insurances we pay, $4,000 here, $5,000 there. Fuel used to be running about $3,000 a month. It's running about $4,000 a month now, as we all know, because we all go to the gas station. There's all sorts of things like phones and stuff like that add up. Our liability insurance is about $11,000 quarterly. And then, there's constantly repairs on the vehicles. This was on a fire truck, but that was almost $4,000 for new tires.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Of course, they got a lot of tires.
Well, they're big.
They're big.
But even ambulance tires are not inexpensive, and some of the repairs, but, we try to keep on top of that stuff, so. That's just some idea of some of the financial sides of this. We have not done this, like Troy said, in a long, long time, and because of that, we've kind of fallen behind on being able to set money aside to purchase equipment and things. And that, here we're facing a deal in 2025, since we use Chevy chassis on the ambulances. General Motors supposedly, starting in 2025, isn't going to build a gas engine anymore.
Really?
So I don't know what we're gonna do for ambulances, but electric doesn't sound like it's gonna be very good for us. There's a lot of times that Rick doesn't even get back to the station and he gets called out on another.
Not unless they get the lithium batteries, would still be in kitchen fire.
Well, anyway,
Just saying.
so, you know, that's really, it's to provide the service that, we've been able to provide and to keep providing that, so.
Okay.
I'll open it up for
all right.
public comment.
All right, so we'll, Troy, all set? Okay, public comments.
Yes.
Go ahead,
thank you.
Tom. Tom lives close by
Sure.
the township here.
I have a number of questions.
Can you say your name and?
Thomas Bolduc. And I'm down here for a number of reasons. Mainly this notice that came here that said that considering an adjustment to cost ambulance service, yada, 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 it says that I must, in order to appeal the amount, state tax bill. Okay, well, I came here to protest. I'm protesting the ambulance increase. That increase is 85%. Yes, I said 85%. During the same period of time, from 2014, these are the notes, this is what it said, 2014, that's when we voted on it. From 2014 to 2021, the same period, the inflation rate is averaged 1.4%. I don't want to put you to sleep, Troy.
1.4?
1.4 over the last 7 years. The same number is the increase for Social Security, which unfortunately I'm on Social Security and that's the majority of my income, 1.4%. So the ambulance company is asking for an 85% increase. Once again, I can only express it as greed. I know we're behind the curve according to these people right here, you fellows, I don't know your names, but you know, we're behind the curve. Well, an increase of 85% to me that's only can be greed, all right? So does Perry Township receive anything from downtown development because part of this money's?
No.
No, emphatically,
no,
receive
no,
none, okay.
no.
Okay, good. So again, I just heard a few stats here, which I've never heard before, and they're not much, but to me, there's no transparency. How much money does this ambulance service make every year?
Our budget is
1.6.
1.6.
So that's what you're making?
That's our budget. That's what it
We
costs
take
us
care
to
of
operate for the year.
10 governmental entities.
I'm sorry, what's that now?
We take care of 10 governmental entities.
What about the ambulance service that has 7 or 8? Who's Mark?
I'm Mark.
Mark, I talked to you on the phone.
Yep.
Okay. So there's only 6 or 7, I believe, communities that are under the auspices of these particular ambulance
No,
companies.
there's 10.
There's 10?
Sure,
Oh, my
because
God.
you have, for instance, in
Okay.
Perry Township, you have also the village and the city. There's
Right, well, I
seven.
didn't know there were 10, I only copied down 7 or 8, doesn't really matter. But how much money do they receive? How much money do they receive?
What do you mean, do they receive?
Well, if, again, people are under the guise, because I have neighbors of mine say, golly, this is what it's $35. Only $35 for an ambulance service? No. As you and I discussed briefly, Mark, it's gonna cost you, at least, if you have to, you know, other than picking me up, if I have to go to a hospital, it's gonna cost me $1,000 minimum. Plus, when we talked, and it's kind of ironic when you mentioned to me that you could even drive me, that was a hypothetical, to Ann Arbor. Well, I'm a veteran, and that's the hospital I go to, which is 59 miles. And at $16 a mile, just picking me up, putting me in the ambulance, giving me nothing, not even a Band-Aid, it cost me $1,712, okay? So I think there should be some numbers given here. I see a little smile here, I don't know. There should be numbers given here. How much money is this company making? If they,
It's not a company,
It's not a
number
company, it's a
one.
governmental entity.
a government entity, okay. Then how much are they bringing in? We must know those numbers.
Told you.
I know it seems to be a surprise to a lot of people. I just read recently about some of the commissioners, how they, oh my God, there's $10,000 in my bank account. I don't know that, you know, that happens, I guess, but there should be good numbers, right? There should be good numbers. In some cases, 25,000, but there should be some good numbers. How much money is this entity bringing in? Why is there an increase? Why do we need an increase? Tires, $4,000? Hell, I know just a regular pickup truck costs me about $1,000, and I'm gonna get real fancy tires. So that's irrelevant. How much money is this government entity bringing in?
Well, the budget is approximately $1.6 million a year. So that's approximately how much money it brings in.
Okay, all right, that's clear. See, when I heard 1.6, I didn't know what that meant. If you appreciate what I'm saying, I had
But
1.6, okay.
it's basically, it's close to a zero-sum budget.
What does that mean?
That means that we basically set the budget so that the money is spent in things like payroll and repairs on vehicles and stuff like that.
Okay.
And we do try to keep a little bit aside each year so that when we do have to buy a new ambulance or we do have to buy a new fire truck, that we can pay cash for it.
Okay, well, that's fine, I'm glad there's not an interest rate. But again, so can I guess approximately it's $1.6 million that this ambulance service is bringing in?
Approximately, yes.
Okay, so they're making 1.6, and then since we just spent $4,000 on tires, I'm just trying, I'm not being a wise ass. I am being, I mentioned to Troy today about how my taxes are too high, and of course Troy said to me, well, your taxes are practically nothing. What are they? I said $1,500 a year. He says, oh, you know, I pay because he's got a big farm. I don't care about that. I'm down here because I'm Tom Bolduc, I'm living on Social Security, and every time I turn around, I'm paying for a school, I'm paying for a sinking hole fund, I'm paying for something. Now I have an opportunity, I want to know where the heck this money's going. I mean, I have no use for it, and God forbid I ever have to. 1.6 million, then what exactly, why is there a need to increase it by 85% to get in the groove?
It's not, Tom, you and I talked about that.
Briefly.
We're not increasing it by
Well,
85%.
you are.
No, we're not, because the original charge was $45. It's going to $65. That is not an 85% increase. I don't care what calculator you have.
Well, I can even do a better one. From 35, it says $35 in my letter here. It says $35. And you did tell me that for the first time.
Okay, 5 minutes and 14 seconds. I know it's 3 minutes, but I wanted to hear Tom out, okay?
Well, thank you. I'm just going to briefly, real quick, thank you. Again, 1.6 million, an increase, no, it says 35 to 65. I'm doing the simple math. 35 from 65, you divide that, you subtract it, it's an 85% increase. If you take the $10 that the graciousness of whoever, you guys, I guess the township, regardless, 35 to 65 is an 85%. That's my calculator. I refute anybody to change. You can't change numbers.
That's okay.
Okay, so now that's an 85% increase. How can you justify it? Nobody can justify an 85% increase. Okay, all right.
Thank you, Tom. All right, is there any other
Real quick,
comments?
as I said, there's no transparency. Somebody says about $4,000 for tires, 1.6 million, so I got that. Why is there, again, I'm gonna ask this again, why is there an 85% increase? Boom, okay? So also, the no goes to downtown, that's a good thing to know. Then I have just a couple other notes. I think it's criminal that it's gonna go up 85%. Again, it is, period. It's greed. That's my take on it. Nobody is, again, 1.4%? Okay. So then I want to flip to this little page. And again, I read somewhere about Perry Township, their creed or their business model. Perry Township, and I didn't write it all down, basically Perry Township is a steward for their constituents. You representatives are supposed to be a steward, and I'm a constituent, as opposed to who knows what. That's one thing. Then I'm going to leave on this note. A system is corrupt when it is strictly profit-driven,
True. That's true.
not driven to serve the best interest of people.
That's true. Okay, appreciate the comments. Okay.
And one thing, and I'm going to go, again, what I don't understand about this tribunal, what this does, other than we mea culpa, I see the turnout of our citizens here. This is the typical.
I put
No.
16 chairs out, I think we'd have better attendance.
Mark, I used to come to these meetings regularly, and I was, because I was the only one who showed up. Isn't that a shame? The
I used to
constituents.
show up when I
Pardon?
was just a person, didn't I?
No, the regular.
My wife and I used to come regularly.
Well, I'm telling you what I observed over the months, years.
Sure.
When I saw John 2 months ago or so, I said he was the only person.
Yeah.
And I can't do that about citizens, but they gotta get off their apathetic fanny. But that being said, I really hope some transparency comes about in this 85% increase. is nothing more than criminal, and I truly, honest to God, mean that. I know Troy won't agree with me, nickel and dime to death, I'm being taxed to death. But anyways, give me liberty or give me death.
Okay.
Semper Fi.
Don't forget your
Don't
drink.
forget your
Thank you.
bottle. Okay.
I got home.
Is there any other public hearing, any other comments, Larry? If not,
Well, they were here before me, so I'd wait my turn.
oh, go ahead.
Otherwise, yes. In the paper, it said, I never look at the taxes, you just pay the blame things, you know? All we're doing is renting the land from the government.
For Kelly, state your name.
And I'm glad it's just on the households,
Can't hear me.
because if it's on every deed that I got, I'd be paying a lot more.
Oh,
So that's a benefit there, if I remember right, going by the house when they first set it up.
Yep.
And we approved a certain, I can't remember, you know, it's been a long time, certain amount of money, and they didn't need to use all of it. But it does say in your thing, $30, but then Troy says we're actually assessing 45.
35, we used to make 10 up out of the general fund.
Oh, so where part of this is coming, you're eliminate paying the money out of the general fund,
With this adjustment, yeah.
so that adds 10, 35, we're
It's
up.
going to 65, yeah.
Pardon?
It's going to 65 per house.
85% increase.
Hey,
Well, so the 10 makes the 35, 45,
so it's
But
going from
45
45 to 65, yes.
45 to 65. How come we didn't take a little bit over the years
In
if we
hindsight,
really needed?
in hindsight, we should have. If it had gone up by $1.50 a year, no one would have ever noticed it. And if you actually do the inflation multiplier going back to 2004, when it started, we're about at the level where we should be. You know, that's where it is. If you go back to it each year from then. So if it had gone up by,
2004?
yeah, it hasn't moved since then. It hasn't moved since then.
Time to fly.
It does, that's when we created the authority that did it. So, I mean, if it had gone up, you know, that $1.50 a year, we'd be at the same dollar amount. The difference is, for the last 20 years, we haven't paid that amount, right? So, I mean, like, if it had only gone up $1.50 a year for the last, 20 years, last year you'd have paid $63.50, and the year before it had been $62, but we haven't paid that. So all that money's been saved over the years, and fortunately, the authority, through the expansion of territory, was able to keep it the same, so.
Just out of curiosity, what level are you charging on the other townships?
Same,
Same
It's going up
thing.
for everybody.
same. When
Cities, villages, all the
when we ask for an increase as assessment board, we
I guess the
go to
biggest
all the
thing
rest
is
of
the
the
shock
town.
factor.
It is, it's a big jump all at once, and it'll be smaller probably going forward, smaller more often, so.
I just, please, 1 second. Again, that face of yours really bothers me when you do that. It really does. Because nobody, excuse me, sir, what has happened since 2014, that's what they're saying, it has gone up 85%. Now they want to start with this one, whatever he's talking about, I don't know what he's talking about, inflation? Inflation should be less than at 1.4%. You can do all the math you want from the last 7 years, that would have been an increase of, 10, 11, about 11% total. It's an increase of 85%, it's going to be 85% forever. In little increments from 2004, I have no idea where that's coming from. They are not. You've got to take inflation, and they are not. These giant, if we've only done $10 a year, $5 a year, we're being robbed, and I mean it.
okay, I think we've been very patient with the
Did
public.
I answer your question, Larry?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, well, it's about, even when farmland reverses once in a while, there's still that state factor they put in there, which is 1.5%. The taxes keep going up. I'm just grateful we don't live in Ingham County. You guys got a little in Ingham County. They charge twice as much.
So, but I mean,
Just support the government.
I mean, that's the thing, if it had been a millage and it went up a little bit each year, we'd be right where we are proposing to go to today. But that flat fee hasn't gone up, and like I said, whatever. You know, I mean, if it had been going up a little each year, we've been paying a lot more each year. And now we have, I mean, so we have that gap. I mean, does that make sense? Like if it had been going up a little each year, we'd have paid $62.50 last year.
We're just playing catch up.
Yeah, we're playing catch up.
That's all we're doing. Okay, is there any more, public hearing we limited to 3 minutes, plus a couple 3 minutes.
Plus about 8, yeah.
Okay, at 7:19, I showed, Troy, on your phone,
20.
7:20, we haven't finished our
Tom, did you have
public
any?
hearing. Tom, did you have any comment on this particular?
No,
We had a special.
it is 7:20 when
Okay, thanks, Cal.
I thought that's what you were.
Welcome.
No, I had a chance to talk to,
Yeah, Tom and I talked the other day about it.
Okay. July,
So, hold on, we
July
gotta,
20,
we gotta take action on this.
oh, we do.
Yeah.
Oh my, okay, so the public hearing's come to a
Okay,
close.
so we've,
Troy, go ahead.
after all that, have had, the right,
Couple comments.
yep, so I'll make a motion that we adjust the annual ambulance assessment to $65 per unit.
All right, Troy's made a motion. Do I hear a second? Butch, okay, Butch, second. Roll call vote, Kelly?
Troy Parmalee,
Yes.
Mark Foltz,
Yes.
Mark Frazier,
Yes.
Francis Griffin,
Yes.
Ellen Schmidt, yes.
Yes, okay, that's it. Passed, okay, are we done with that?
I think,
All right, that's gonna bring my hoochie up. All right, it's not a club, it's a
yeah,
gavel, gavel. All right, July 28th, 2020, regular meeting minutes. Did you get a copy of those?
No,
Here.
I don't know.
make a motion, we approve the minutes as presented.
You got your email.
Second.
You got your email, though, right? Probably. Well, here, take it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Oh, public comments. Okay.
He's talked to all of us several times over the last couple of weeks. He was here today for half an hour, I talked to Mark for an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay, we got his thoughts.
It is what it is.
We got his thoughts. 4 times over. All right, reports. Mark, Sessa. You're
Are
on.
you not gonna do
Sheriff's Department first.
Oh, we're gonna, oh, Sheriff, okay.
So-
Kelly, where's Charles?
So, last month there were 118 complaints. Of them,
Okay.
12 were traffic stops.
What's DOL?
The big number was 25, but be on the lookout.
For what?
Anything, something.
Be on lookout.
They know you've been at the bar, they put out a
Yeah,
BOL
BOL.
to pick you up on the way.
Safe departure.
Safe departure to the jail.
John. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
I'm more to see some.
I was just, John was making.
We had,
Okay, Mark.
we did a lot of work on job descriptions and the flow chart of the officers in the department. And because there's been a lot of questions over time about, you know, what this officer's supposed to do. So we really fine-tuned all that kind of thing. And one of the thoughts that we had was that currently the flow chart goes chief, deputy chief, 2 assistant chiefs, 1 for fire, 1 for EMS.
Okay.
And then a battalion chief in fire in each one of the 2 stations that we have for fire currently, between Perry and Morris. So we had thought about eliminating the deputy chief out of the flow chart. And the reason is he's not full-time, he's paid on call basically. So he's not available, so what everybody does, the battalion chiefs and the assistant chiefs, they go straight to the chief. So we thought, well, this would just make things flow a little better.
Smoother, maybe.
Didn't quite work that way.
Okay.
We had our last CESA board meeting, we were visited by a dozen firemen that felt that we were eliminating somebody they needed in their structure. So we have revisited that, and at this next CESA meeting, board meeting, we're gonna vote on finalizing all these job descriptions and the flow chart, and the deputy chief will be back in there.
So when's that meeting?
That's the third Monday
Third Monday?
here.
Here, yeah.
20th.
Yeah,
Yes.
so, that, that was really the big thing that happened at that meeting, and there was a lot of, things that people thought when they came in the door were true that weren't. They had heard a lot of things that weren't quite the way it was, so
There
that,
was a lot of embellishment going on.
yeah, so they, once everybody heard what was happening,
Embellishment.
Okay.
then things smoothed out an awful lot before everybody left. So that was just been a month for contested.
Drama.
Yeah, drama. Not something we're used to around
No,
here.
okay. Did you get a set of twins for firefighters?
Oh, I don't know.
Did you lose twins?
I'm not sure.
Well, Brian introduced them to me at the picnic at the
Oh.
city of Perry.
It's real possible.
Oh,
We
okay.
don't always hear
Oh,
exactly who's come on the department.
the twin Deleuze?
When we have a full-time or a part-time position in the EMS side, but on fire,
You don't hear about it?
he'll just say, well, I'm bringing 2 more people.
Oh, okay.
He's got
The chief handles that.
a prescribed amount of people that
Okay.
go on a station, and he handles the day-to-day operation. We don't,
Sure, well, sure.
kind of the big picture people. So,
Okay,
Mark?
yes, sir.
The other question is, yeah, like you say, the EMS is 2 divisions. How many are full-time employees?
Should be full-time.
16.
16 are full-time? Yeah, because every time, on a rig, you've got 2 people.
Mostly the EMS?
Yeah, oh yeah, we only have 1 full-time person, and he's only half fire and half EMS, and that's the chief. Everybody else is all ambulance. So when I talk about 30,000 every 2 weeks for payroll, that's predominantly ambulance people.
And I expect that to probably be 17 or 18 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, there's a station in Perry, but there's then, how many?
Station in the city of Durant and a station in Vernon Township. We have 3 ambulances on the road.
720.
Well, we've got ambulances over by Durand or
Yeah,
something.
that's what he said. There's 2 over by Durand, 1 in Durand and 1 in Vernon
Right,
Township.
right.
So there's 3 ambulances staffed 24/7. So,
What other areas do they service besides?
We cover the 3 entities right here, the city, the
Yeah.
village, and the township. We cover Bennington Township, most of it. We cover Antrim, most of Shiawassee, Byron or Burns and Byron, and Vernon and Durant. Plus, we've been doing mutual aid to the LSW group, where we're running an awful lot of calls over there now.
They haven't been able to find employees.
They haven't been able to staff their
Langsburg.
ambulance.
with the exception of Woodhull and Scioto, we're covering half the county.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're the largest provider in the county.
And it's all based here.
So, I think they do a tremendous job managing all this, to be honest with you. It's,
Okay, thanks, Mark. All set?
And that's one of the ways that they haven't had to raise the per household for so many years is because they've kept taking on territory to spread the costs out. So this would have come up a long time ago had it just been
Yeah.
Perry Township and Morris.
And it wouldn't have been 65, it'd have been 125.
Yeah.
yeah, Twin Township, up around New Lothrop is
Oh.
over 100 now.
More than double.
And LSW is 95 a year.
And they,
So we're
Reasonable.
we're not way up where they are. And you go to other counties and they're way more, so.
Okay. All right,
It's the
Mark.
commonest way of funding.
Thank you. Okay, DDA, we didn't meet. We're gonna meet October, 3rd Wednesday of October. And the zoning, there was really nothing in the file to speak of, so I've still gotta meet our zoning fellow. I don't know him. We have one, right, John?
yes, we do. Yes.
What's his name or nickname?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So I gotta meet him, and that brings us to John, our county commissioner, And John, hopefully has some good updates for us. I always like hearing John's good stories.
Well, I also go to the road commission.
Okay,
Pretty interesting. The road commission has had some pretty good weather the last 2 years. They've caught up and they've done extra work this fall. They've done a lot of trimming. I know in the southern part of the county, a lot of those roads are narrow, and they've been chopping trees up pretty good on the sides. The blacktopping and chip sealing is mostly all done for the year, right on schedule.
perfect.
With the COVID in 2020, when they finally had the audit and looked at numbers and what they ended up getting paid, they were down about $465,000. But they completed everything that was planned with the townships and what they were going to do countywide for roads. Well, I've learned that just recently, because road commissions didn't receive any COVID money, that they're going to be able to recoup from COVID monies by the state about $330,000. So in a sense, it's a pretty good wash.
Good.
Activities for next year are right on cue. I think all those plans are coming to the townships now, and you'll discuss them and whatever. One of the big changes was Brent Freeze retired, and he was excellent. I just won't comment on his status in health, so
Okay,
that you might
But he
pick something
retired.
from that.
yeah.
And then right now our the interim director is Chris Cannon, and he's been with the road commission since 2006. So he's been running the meetings, and he's doing a good job.
He's been very responsive to us.
Yeah,
If
that
I
was good.
called, he's
Yeah.
within a day, he calls me back, so that's good. Okay.
So anyway, I think for road activity, it's decent. Turning over to the county commissioners, we've been holding budget meetings last week and this week. Yesterday I was there all day meeting with departments. And truthfully, all the departments have come in pretty much the same as the budget last year. We are putting in a 2% pay increase for most likely January 1st for next year for all the employees. And so that's figured in there. And our revenues, other than COVID money, has been quite good. I mean, there's a lot of activity in Travis County. The SEVs have been going up. Houses have been selling for, some of them, way lot more than I thought they were
Of
selling
course,
for.
that's true across the country.
Yes,
You know, yeah.
I know that, I heard yesterday we were chatting out in front of the KFC, Perry ended up with about 28 permits for houses this 2021.
Okay,
That's extraordinary, because Perry, there was years when we didn't have a house built, so
yeah,
that's pretty good. That's kind of going on all over the county.
good.
Something that, another discussion point is, the county is going to receive, with this year, next year, almost $14 million in COVID money. I mean, that's nice. So,
I heard a little talk about the COVID money, yes.
yeah, but what can we use it for? Well, basically, the first premise is something in the future. Okay, when you do that, it isn't like I can pay off the bonds for mental health or something. You can't do that. So I reached out to the drain commissioner, because you can use them for drains, field drains, sanitary drains, discharge drains for, sewer systems, water towers, water mains,
New lagoons,
sewer lane.
New lagoons, probably, they use.
I'm doing it, updates,
Yeah,
more capacity.
yeah.
And again, that's future growth.
Mhm.
So here's part of a couple of discussions. The road commission has identified in each township 2 major drains that would be rebuilt under the roads for the drain district, and that would be done with COVID money. So that's like 32 crossings on roads in 16 townships, so to speak. Then, of course, we also discussed the fact that a lot of cities and villages have water and sewer projects, and that we would put out that we haven't settled on the number, but let's use the number of 125,000 that those cities and villages and activities that would increase for water, sewer, and water tower activity, if a community so gets into that project, and that project they're able to fund, and they would be able to use our promise of our money to help them do that.
Okay.
Is that a nice political way to put it?
Yeah. Assist with funding
Yes.
of
We
future
haven't
projects.
zeroed in on all
Waterworks,
that,
waterworks.
but
Good.
that's something there. Also keep in mind, and this is really troubling to me, 65% or maybe 70%, they're not quite sure, of all COVID monies has not been dispersed yet.
I've heard.
From last year or this February when they, whatever they call it.
We haven't gotten our check yet.
Yeah, so and then we'd have a time frame for the projects like the end of '24, but again, we all know how sometimes that's not long enough. So they've been discussing 26 or 27.
For our money, we have to allocate it by the end of '24 and spend it by the end of '26.
Yeah,
That's what they told us.
yeah, I think
So
that's,
you kind of got it earmarked and then you got to.
yeah.
Which I think to some extent is a little helpful. I was afraid at first they were gonna try and do this in 2 years. All we would do is run the cost of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Can you
Honestly.
imagine if you were somebody in the water tower painting business and every municipality in the country can paint their water tower with this money? I mean, the cost would just go astronomical.
Right. This up.
We're spreading over a few years will help.
And then I got a phone call today.
Okay.
This would be ambulance or fire truck. There's so much money that I got contacted and said, well, your organization probably needs an ambulance, doesn't it? Why don't you apply? So I'll get with Guy. That came today. I'll get with Guy tomorrow. And I got the number. And we're to apply for a new fire ambulance. And that's other money. That's
Not
other
counting.
COVID money.
Not counting.
Yeah, it's just like and right now, if you order an ambulance right now, you may be looking at next May. So, I mean, if they put tons more ambulances in the system, you may be 3 or 4 years. That really causes some problems, folks. Because normally if you order an ambulance, it's like what we do. We keep our box, have it refurbished, we buy a new chassis. You buy a new chassis, usually a couple, 3 months, you send the old ambulance down with a new chassis, and they have it slotted in, and they'll spend 3 weeks converting the old box onto the new chassis. So you get that ambulance turned around
Pretty quickly.
fairly quick. Well, if your new ambulance is out 3 or 4 years, or 2 years, that causes, you're gonna have to keep fixing your old stuff. And a lot of times you get ambulances with a couple 100,000 miles on them. And we've gone to all gas engines because diesels have become such a nightmare to fix on smaller vehicles, so we've gone to gas engines. But, so I mean, there's some stuff here that could cause some real bottlenecks. And then the price goes up. I mean, instead of an ambulance costing $140, it may end up being $175 or more. I mean, so the inflation factor could be really, really serious for ambulance and fire services because of the cost. Also, of course, we didn't really comment, but a huge portion of our increase from 45 to 65 is directed at wages. To be competitive and hire people, we got to try to stay in the ballpark. Yeah. But anyway, that's some of the discussions going on. Sheriff was in. They want a few more vehicles, and actually we talked about, they asked for 2 new ones next year, but we discussed 3 or 4 because of COVID monies.
Oh, sure.
And again, there's a big, if you order them, are you ever going to get them? I mean, they ordered one new vehicle this year they couldn't get after a while, so they switched to a different vehicle so they could get it. I mean, it's a real toss-up what's going to happen.
Is there any chance we're gonna be able to get back to a full staffed road patrol,
They aren't back to what we call what they were a while ago, but I think is there 14 or 15 deputies now? I think.
We lost 15 and 15.
Yeah, so, I don't think it's completely bad, and support staff, I don't think it's completely bad. And then, of course, I don't know if you've heard, but we had, for the first time, unfortunately, we had a big COVID outbreak in jail. And guards and inmates. And it actually has been excellent, I mean, for a year, almost 2 years, we haven't had a real problem. But it's not serious. And then about COVID, today they were talking, very unusual, but a lot of us in this room have been vaccinated. I have. I mean, March, yeah, a lot of us have. And what's turning out is it's the herd mentality, we're all carrying COVID.
We are?
And it's the herd, but if you've had the shots, you may not even know you have the COVID within you.
And do we give it to somebody?
Well, can be, but if we're all vaccinated, we're just the same. But if you do get it, your seriousness of the COVID attack is a lot less, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then they're talking about the third shot. Well, I've been talking to several people that the flu shot, normally something like the COVID would be in that flu shot cocktail.
Coincide with the whole.
So there's a lot of things going on right now.
It won't be this year, but probably going forward it will be.
Yes.
So you just get one shot around
Well,
flu
They
season.
put a half a dozen rings in your flu shot, don't they, Kelly?
Yeah. So anyway,
So does anybody have any questions for John?
yeah. Have any
I just
questions?
have one other comment, John, and it's kind of related to the COVID thing, the money thing, but Larry and I were both at the meeting last night. The County Farm Bureau, Shiawassee County Farm Bureau last night passed a resolution encouraging the Board of Commissioners to allocate some of that funds to increase the drain maintenance revolving fund.
We've already done that.
You have already done that?
Yeah, we did that. Like I said, last set of meetings,
Okay.
of course, Tony had requested that and it didn't get to the,
Didn't
The
get to the
meetings.
floor, yes.
well, it did last week.
Oh, good.
And we
We
gave,
talked about that a couple of meetings ago.
yes,
Okay.
we paid off the case drain number 2 assessment of $80,000 total. And then we gave him $300,000 more to put in his drain revolving fund. And if he needs any more this year, we're so inclined to give it to him. He has tons of drain projects
Yeah.
that people want done.
Yeah.
And he's kind of going, wow, I mean, he's been busy.
Yeah, but I mean, this is an excellent use, I mean, those funds are perfectly earmarked for just such a project.
That's right. And then if we do under roads with, bigger drains in
Right.
certain areas, which they've been identified by the drain commissioner and the road commission, that would be that wouldn't be assessed, of course, on the.
Correct, I mean, that's a benefit, right, we don't have to assess it out and the money's earmarked and, as we discussed last night, this county is not habitable without a drain system.
That's right.
So we would be all sitting in a giant swamp right now.
And on a very humorous part, I did not enter into the conversation with Tom. I could have talked to him for 2 hours, and I don't know if I would have made much of it.
I wanted Mark to cut him off, but.
Oh, well, anyway, I'd like to tell him
He
that.
went twice as long as he should. Mark stopped right. He got the dirt. So.
All right,
So anyway, great, okay, good report, John, appreciate it.
Yep.
And now back to Mark with the library. report.
I don't have one.
Oh,
Other than the member of the library board from the New Lothrop area, her husband died late last week. And
My neighbor, Carol Sanford.
died.
Yeah.
no, this was Van, from New Lothrop, Van,
Oh, that gentleman, yes.
yeah, his wife is on the board.
Okay.
And he's been
I'm sorry.
very sick, he's been in a nursing home recently, so,
Passed away.
yeah.
Okay. All right, Troy begged off on the I-69 trade corridor.
yeah, the meeting I don't go to, they give you lunch and a photo op,
So I got to go for
They gave you lunch.
And I went down there,
I didn't know
and they had a side lunch bar, and they had ice cream, and we got to hear all the bigwigs from Allegheny Airline. They're putting in 3 complete big planes there, house them every day of the year, and they're gonna have 40 people move there to Flint, Allegheny Airlines. Allegiant Airline, thanks, Allegiant Airline, Allegheny. It wasn't Allegheny years ago. Allegiant Airline. Are you with me, Tom? Allegiant Airline. And so there are 40 people, and they're gonna move into the Flint area, and they're gonna house there, to come there at night, be their home, and so everybody was happy about that. So we had a break at 10 o'clock, we all had to go down from that meeting I found in the corner, and go down there for this, with our mask on, and police patrol and armored guards, guard the food. And we had the meeting, and then we went back up to our meeting, and then we went back down and had a nice lunch. But the meeting went well, and they had some, the main thing was what Troy was wanting, and that was that Justin Horvath, the SEDP, has taken over from City of Lapeer, the financial books.
The SEDP is gonna be the fiduciary.
They're gonna
So we're
take,
gonna have it in our county
they're
now.
gonna take over
Oh, we
that.
are.
It was voted on and
Yep.
approved.
Oh.
Which will be very positive for us.
Yes.
So that
And the other thing they did is they had a presentation from a lady who does a rail consulting company, and,
Loretta, somebody,
no, it's Sandra Dearden.
Santa.
Anyway,
Older lady, older
yeah,
lady.
they're identifying areas in the corridor here for a likely truck-to-rail transloading facility. Probably, the most logical area is probably gonna be Durand, I mean, just because that. And there's, this lady is really involved in that and trying to coordinate that, which would be, a great transportation hub for our county. I mean, they're discussing the national trend that we are so short of truck drivers, that a lot more of this is going to have to start going on rail. And, the more you have these locations to transload it, the more short hauls you can make out of it. Plus, with the pending possible merger with Canadian National and Kansas City Southern, if that happens, although it kind of hit a stumbling block yesterday, I guess. But if that merger happens, that's gonna send a lot more traffic by here. Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, we're gonna have to put in an overpass at the railroad.
If they merge with Kansas City Southern, there will be a lot more train traffic.
Yes. May have put the second set of tracks.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So that was that. And so Mark, back to SEDP.
Our presentation at SEDP was by United Way. They come in every year and
Sure.
talk to, looking for businesses to get in their program.
That's of Genesee and Shiawassee County, right?
Right, and normally they put about $20,000 they get in the area, and they put more than that back in. Last year, they didn't have a quarter of that because of COVID.
Oh.
And yet they put the same amount of money back in. So that's, that was really the gist of theirs. We are in the process of doing all the thing with the contacting new businesses and prospecting and everything. We're putting together some strategic plan work groups, specific areas like childcare and those kind of things. And what we're hoping to do with that is to convince members of SEDP that do not serve on the board currently to put a person onto those boards.
Oh.
So that would be something that we're working toward. And other than that, just the normal kind of stuff going on. Things are busy. They're doing things all the time. Justin's still getting a lot of calls. So.
Okay. And then Planning Commission, Larry's here in place for the Planning Commission. And Mark, did you guys meet?
Yes, we did, and we talked a little bit about the Slocum property. They've withdrawn their request to put the driveway off of Winiger, and they've now applied to MDOT to put
As they should.
drive-in off of 52, which that's going to be pretty good. We worked some on the master plan update. Actually, Beth took the Bennington one and said she's going to read that and see if she can get some parallels worked up rather than. And they feel that we should, as a township, support a countywide moratorium on any more solar farm buildings.
Oh, yeah, so.
So that really comes back to us if we want to do that or not.
What's your take on that, John? Let me get John's take on this real quick, from the county perspective.
Windmills and solar farms?
Solar farm.
Mainly just a solar, not windmill, just a
Yeah.
solar.
Solar farms, it's quite a project to put together.
Yeah.
I've had some friends who did it for their own house, you know,
Sure.
got it in their field. Then Ranger or the group up there on New Lothrop and Duran roads and all those places up there. What is that, about 1,400 acres now? For that big a project to go again in Childs County would be difficult. I mean, that they came in at the kind of the right time, got enough people together so they could have enough property adjacent to each other. There's another one in Caledonia, which is off, what's that road? Hibbard Road and Lytle Road or something.
Yes, Lytle.
Yeah, I think that's about 120 acres. Again, a real knock on it is it takes farm property out of production,
Right.
normally, it's farm property.
Of course it does.
But it's quite lucrative for the people where that goes into. I mean, they pay upwards to $1,000 an acre per year for the rental and pay the taxes and everything like that, so. I mean, I'd hate to see the county turn into a solar farm. And the people buying the electricity are the Lansing Board of Water and Light and Detroit Edison.
Sure.
They're the ones who are taking the electricity off that solar farm out there. But again, it's pretty hard to tell people what to do with their property.
Sure.
But there's still a lot of consternation out there from some of the neighbors.
Sure.
They don't like looking at solar farms.
I understand. Larry, what you were saying?
Well, I was thinking about that resolution, I don't know where it come from last night, it's real good that commercial investors, or whatever, like the place just across the county line with the nice columns out front, you could farm that 60 years and never get return on your investment, that kind of money. To take away the PA 116, uncap the taxes. I thought that would.
I know what he's talking about, yes.
Good.
Yeah. He can
I was at the
explain
same
it
meeting,
better
I
than
was at the same meeting, so
me.
yes.
Yeah,
What Larry's talking about is there was a farm that sold just south of us on 52 in Locke Township, but I.
562 acres.
Right, and it went for $5.7 million.
It did sell for that.
It did. And it's owned by an investment group of some sort that has done their diligence to keep their name quiet. I mean, there's shell corporations and P.O. boxes and attorneys, out-of-state attorneys that filed the paperwork to form the corporation. I mean, they've been very careful to hide who it is. And so, I mean, yes, there's some concern that what's happening is you're getting hedge funds and other things coming in and snapping up these big chunks of land, to speculate on things like, solar farms or something like that, that's, it's gonna blow. I mean, there's no way for agriculture to ever compete with that kind of price. I mean, it's just not gonna happen. And so,
the thing is,
but the concern is, and what was handled at the Farm Bureau level was, Farm Bureau was saying, fine if you're doing that, but you don't get all the tax advantages that farmland gets. Because, when farmland transfers, if they file the paperwork, it doesn't uncap, where everything else uncaps. You have PA 116, which we get credits back on our property taxes for preserving the land. They shouldn't get that. They're exempt from school operating tax. If it's owned by a hedge fund, should they be exempt from school operating tax? Those types of questions are what's going on. So that's kind
So it's a
of
wait
the
and
long
see.
and the short of
Wait
it.
and see on
I
that.
mean, the problem, of course, is this gets into a massive national energy policy question, and, you know, when we made the decision as a country 15 years ago that we weren't gonna burn coal anymore, or at least some people in Washington made that decision, that's what's forced all of this, right?
Now,
I mean, the power companies would rather have just built a new coal plant.
the
Instead
planning
of putting up
commission was
windows.
not looking to stop anybody like the solar panel array across the street. No residential type of thing. They're talking about
That's
the
personal.
large.
Commercial, yeah.
Is
The
there
large
any,
commercials.
has anyone done something formal to propose something?
Well, actually, they were in a way, they were kind of waiting on what Venice and Venice and New Haven that have a lawsuit, or
Hazelton.
Hazelton, that are in the process of doing a lawsuit right now over that one up there. They did also suggest maybe we needed to wait and see where they went with that.
My gut feeling tells me we should wait and see where it goes on that. You know, I mean, it's just, first of all, we are not highly likely for it here because we do not have a major transmission line. We do have some transmission that goes along the railroad tracks, but up there they have big transmission lines.
Well,
You know,
I want
and that's
something like a little further down that goes across the old mahogany.
Correct, right there would be another prime spot for it, but we don't have that, you know,
Yeah.
thank goodness.
And it's interesting, they never take the hilly land, they want the flat land.
Of course they do, because the hills are a problem for the solar panels, so. I mean, the hazard and what we discussed when the original language was put in, what happens if this whole subsidy with this house of cards collapses, and then what happens? Because the companies that put those in will file for bankruptcy quicker than you can snap your fingers, and, you know, then what happens? I mean,
Then it becomes scrap metal.
correct, we'll hope the scrap can clean up the mess, you know, I mean, because
Yeah.
this is only working because of subsidies right now.
Then you have to do like Charlie did with the transmission tower out there, he had to go out with a torch and cut the cables.
Yeah, so, my thought would be to wait, so.
Okay, well, that's fine with me.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Troy, financial report and pay the bills.
All right, you have your bills list in front of you, we had another extra week as our August meeting, we actually had the last week of July there. I don't know of anything out of the ordinary on it though. We had a couple transactions with the pension plan there from Martha's retirement and Terry coming in, but that's a net wash. Other than that, I don't have anything. Does anybody have any questions on the bills?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Oh, I made the motion to pay the bills, okay. Seconded by Butch. Roll call vote, Kelly.
Mark Foltz.
Yes.
Mark Frazier.
Yes.
Francis Griffin. Kelly Schmidt, yes. Rick Jones.
Yes.
Okay, correspondence, Spartan Fence, new bill.
Oh, well, that was, remember, was it Mark, where you talked to them, or was it?
Well, I talked to Justin, he
Oh.
talked to them, and they
Oh,
pulled back the necessity to come to our planning commission.
that's
meeting,
right.
So that because they weren't ready.
It's the
You know, we
property on the end.
we just said we want to make sure, we'd be happy to meet with you anytime you'd like, but we wanted to make sure that you weren't just spinning your wheels right now.
Instead of talking
We didn't want
to
them to go to our planning commission first and find out they were supposed to have gone to the county first,
Right.
and it would just delay their project a month or
So
so.
we clarified.
But it's our understanding they're buying Woodbeck's greenhouse
They're buying the greenhouse, they're gonna put 8,500 square foot of building there,
Yeah,
Wow.
and.
as a spec building, right?
And it's for sale.
yeah.
They're not looking to lease it or anything.
And the other thing we were making sure, because they have a tax abatement on their main one, that they weren't moving or something, because that makes a whole.
Spartan Fence, the state of Spartan
We got
Fence
that.
is,
Yeah.
and the greenhouse is actually for sale right now.
Oh, okay.
Nobody wants to buy it.
Okay, oh, the house itself, the greenhouse. All right, good, that clarifies that. Public comments, announcements, any announcements, Kelly?
No, I did get some 2020 census information. I sent it off to the planning commission, so I don't know, maybe it would help with the.
We don't have any of the detail stuff yet, but yeah, we
Well-
got the raw numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically the change in population in our township.
How much?
It was,
We
see,
lost-
What we don't know is they've got the village lumped in there still.
Okay.
Don't they, isn't it 4,000 something?
That was our,
It is 4,000, yeah, it's 4,141.
But that includes the village of Morris.
Is that a minus?
We lost 4.3%.
Yeah. No, our budget was down, but we don't know how much of that lost.
in the village.
I mean, the village could have gained and we lost more than that, or the village could have lost the same, or the village could have, I mean, we don't, they don't have that broken.
I suspect that they probably lost too, because Woodhull lost 3.2%.
I think our county was down.
What did Prairie see?
City?
We're down, what was it, 1.4, 1.6?
This is just township information, it doesn't.
The MTA. It was very hard to get this information from the Census Bureau. I mean,
Really?
and so MTA put it together and sent us a nice email, but it only had the townships, so.
So we don't have the cities?
No.
You could get it if you really want to dig through it, but it's, you know, more data is coming. This was the raw data.
The raw data.
Okay, water loop update. 2 days ago, I talked to Justin Horvath. Good news that feds, federal government, we had the engineering study on the water loop and to join forces with the city of Perry to increase their pumpage capacity by installing a new pump station across the road over here, installing a new water tower over on Old Lansing Road, run water down Lansing Road, Bitter Drive back to the high school. $5 million project, $4.5 million in engineering costs, roughly $5 million. The 80/20 is back on. The feds have approved that. The deadline is next March. We're working on it right now. He's got it. We're going to meet with Sue. I talked to Sue today at the send-off of Steve Swire. You know, after 28 years, he had a party, and him and some of his board review people were there, and his wife was there, and the mayor was there, of course, and the chief of police. And they had a picnic outside under the pavilion. And so anyway, we talked, and she will come to a meeting. We'll have a meeting here in hopefully a couple weeks, and on Tuesday or Wednesday, probably in the morning, Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and then they'll go over what they're going to resubmit. And right now, this week, Justin's trying to get the state to 10% match, so that the city of Perry and Perry Township will only have to come up with 10%. So if we get the 100,000 from the Shiawassee County, that will help us out immensely. So anyway, I wanted to get to that point, but thanks, John. And so that would help us a lot, obviously, and it would benefit future growth for Perry as well as Perry Township.
So this was the same as the program that was out last year that ran out of money first, and so the theory is they can just get this thing resubmitted. We don't have to because we had to do an engineering study, all kinds of crap last time, and we can just resubmit.
He just wants to make sure the numbers are good and before they turn it in. Larry, what?
Have you guys ever noticed the water tower in Ovid?
No?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you say
And
yes?
there's a
Yes.
silo.
Hmm?
It's a silo.
Yeah, it's a blue silo and it's white.
Oh,
So the tank starts right at the ground.
It goes all the way.
1/4 of the cost of one like setting right over
here, there.
that red thing in the edge of town.
Larry, I can address that.
Huh?
I can address that.
Okay.
The problem with having your water column from the top of the silo all the way to the ground is you lose pressure. Because your pressure in the whole system is created by the water being up in the air.
Pressure.
Well, that goes a little taller.
Yeah, but
I
as the
engineer.
water level comes down,
You
your
never-
pressure drops. So
Yeah,
for
you never
firefighting,
have to-
You know,
You never have to paint the thing because of the glass. It's just like a range.
Well, that's true, and Sue's worried about 170,000, wasn't it?
160.
160,000 to paint the tower
Paint the tower.
this next month or two, yeah. Okay, well, thank you. Okay, water loop. Well, we haven't got the contract to sign yet, Larry, but new business. Well, unfortunately, we had a little excitement here last weekend. And I come in Monday to check my email, and I couldn't check my email because I didn't have email, and then I looked at the phone and it was blank. So I immediately called Troy, and Troy come in and kind of looked the situation over, and
so we had a lightning strike.
Lightning
That hit
strike.
our you know, he hit a tree across the road and came back through the phone system, that appears what happened.
Phones.
But anyway, we lost our copier, our fax machine, our entire phone system,
Couple computers.
two computers. What else am I forgetting?
Well,
suppose
well pump
the-
was
the
the
new-
way to reset.
Well, we had to, and fortunately, it was just the pop, they blew the breaker on the well, but fortunately that. So anyway, we've had the most, I mean, we've worked around on the computers and stuff like that, and we'll see if they're gonna be able to get the copier fixed. Of course, insurance will cover most of this, but the immediate crisis was our phones, because we had nothing.
They're old.
Well, they're old to begin with, but I mean, they're done now.
They're dead.
So, I mean,
6 of them are dead.
so we've got temporary set up to have just a basic phone that we can answer while we're here, to take, but we need to deal with the phones. So you have in front of you a proposal from Daystar. Daystar is, of course, who is our phone provider. Ironically, the surge came through TDS, and we're not even on TDS's system anymore, but the crowns are still hooked together, and so, well, that's what happened. So anyway, Daystar, of course, they have bothered us periodically about looking at upgrading our phones anyway, and we said, no, we're fine with what we have, but we're gonna have to do something now. So what this would be is to switch us to more, to the voice over IP system, which is how phones work nowadays. I mean, the newer technology. Well, we would have to buy the phones, which would be $1,256 for the 6 phones. And then then we'd have our ongoing monthly charge, which would be about $49 more than what we pay now.
So about $249 instead of $200.
The idea is, of course, all of this stuff is all handled, it's cloud-based per se. So we have less, something went wrong with it, of course, we always have to fix the system here, and which was fine until, of course, it's totally dead.
And they had
This would all
three
be-
phones. They had a smaller phone, medium phone, big phone.
Let him talk.
Oh,
I wanna hear what he's
but we
saying.
like the smaller, we like the in between. Wait, we didn't like the all digital phone. We like, Troy and I, Kelly all like the same phone.
Anyway.
So we.
Nonetheless,
we
the
settled-
other advantage of this is it gives us more remote flexibility if we need it. So,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can take the phone home.
you can
Yes.
take the phone with you if you want, and take it home and it will ring right to your phone. It also has the ability, we can go in and do forwards and stuff, so that, have a situation where we can't be in the hall or something, we can have it forwarded easily to a cell phone. I mean, you could do it before, but it was an involved process. You had to call the phone company and turn on, turn off. It'll really work handy for the assessment too on them.
It
So,
will, yeah, it will.
I mean, the cost of this is about the same. I mean, we wouldn't buy a new system with what we have for that cost anyway. And so, hopefully, and like I said, hopefully insurance will pick up some of this.
So the $49 a month is because of the new type system only?
Yeah.
They're just charging us more to have that.
It's because it has to, see, with voice over IP, actually, each phone has its own line, per se, where that's not how we had it now. I think we don't end up changing the number of lines drastically, because we had 6 lines before, and, well, we'll have 7 now, because each phone is its own line, even though it will still only, when you dial 625-4597, it will come to the automated attendant that will route it. But at the end of the day, each phone still will have its own
Right.
number, so like,
Right. It's just
you can know Kelly's number and call, so her phone rings directly.
We can all talk on our own phone. And then we have the
And
fax.
so we don't lose anything off of the way we were paying for a phone system monthly before.
We weren't paying, we were just paying the monthly line fees before, so.
Okay.
Because we owned the system that got fried, and we owned that outright, all ours, throw in the dumpster, so. And the other thing I guess I like a little bit about this is, this is the 3rd system we've had this happen to, that we've owned.
Okay. So what protects this system?
What protects this system is it's not hooked through the
All through the phone line?
lines, yeah. Because it's voice over IP, so it's going through the.
But we lost 2
Yeah.
computers in this.
Yeah, and I think where we got tied in there was the copper lines coming to the fax machine were on that same plug. You know, with that's the only thing I can trace back to it.
Should we have an electrician come in and?
Well, we have done that.
Oh, we have, so
Yeah, and we
know.
did that, and we had
John
some,
came in yesterday.
we had some ground issues
Okay.
that needed to be
He made
addressed.
the comment today when he left that this place needs to be rewired.
Well, we
He
knew
said
Did he
that
say
because
that?
of the multiple
Who came
locations.
today?
of
Was
the
it
box.
John?
Yeah,
Great, great.
Also, you could have had him look
Could've.
Did you get it taken?
the wiring in this place
I see
is
the covers
weird,
on
because the building has been added on to.
Yeah.
You know, when they added on, they moved everything back there, but they kept everything up here and made everything sub-panels. So we have all these sub-panels, and the other problem is, of course, we've had to wire this room differently, because when people are set up for events, they want to plug roasters in. Well, you can't plug
Too many.
4 roasters in on the same 15 amp circuit without blowing it, so, you know, every other plug has to be on its own. I mean, it's
Just
you know,
part of the problem,
part of the problem. But yes, John found a ground that was not done properly.
He found that a couple days ago, and come back today and fixed it. So, good.
So,
Okay.
so what you need is you need.
Approval on the Daystar program.
We need a 1,300 and a 250 a month,
Well, the 250 a month, we don't have to approve, that's basically,
I'll make a motion that we approve the Daystar proposal on the phone system.
because they
I
need to have
second.
a signed contract before they'll proceed.
and I'll second.
You'll second it? Okay, Troy, second. Mark, roll call vote, Kelly.
Mark Foltz?
Yes.
Mark Frazier?
Yes.
Francis Griffith?
Yes.
Kelly Schmidt? Yes. Troy Carmen?
Yes.
And we'll see next month, hopefully our copier can be fixed, otherwise that one will have to come back to us too, so.
Which was that one? Troy, roughly, Kelly. How much? 1,200?
It's 10 years old. I mean, the problem is, of course, it takes circuit boards and, you know, there's
Well,
a worldwide chip shortage and, you know, all
How
that.
long did they say that before they would know?
They hopefully know in the next week whether they can get it
Do
quickly.
you think we should, if they can't get it?
I think we'll have to replace the copier, or the fax machine, we'll make do, probably, so.
Until the next board meeting?
Yeah.
will be okay then?
I think so.
All right, well, I guess at this point, we'll make a motion to adjourn. Butch, and who seconds it?
I will.
Kelly, okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
8:12? All right, adjourn.